common goal across the world today is to bring the recovery as soon as possible and make it as sharp as possible, so that we have an early recovery and we have a sharp recovery. And towards that end, all countries must work. Just as the origins of the problem are shared across the world, I think we have to coordinate our response to the crisis. So the priority for the London summit should be how we can coordinate the response to the crisis so that we can bring on the recovery as soon as possible. One clear expectation would be that as advanced countries are planning their responses, they must take into account the implications of the response for emerging economies. We see a lot of debate in these respective countries about the implications of the response. And much of that debate is centered around, quite understandably, the domestic implications. But I believe that because this is a globalizing world and because emerging economies have been impacted by the crisis much more than we suspected earlier, I think there is a need, a much greater need, to take into account the implications of the response on emerging economies.
One area that's been discussed is IFI reform. Do you have any specific objectives in terms of IFI reform, or what the international financial institutions need to be able to do, or how their governance needs to change?
Well, the IFI is quite democratic, but less democratic than some other international institutions. For example, the WTO, by far the most democratic institution. And there are obviously some restrictions whether the IFIs, the Bretton Woods institutions, can really become like the WTO, but there is certainly a lot of scope for the Bretton Woods institutions to be reflecting the current global realities, which is that emerging economies must have a greater representation and a greater say in the management of the IFIs.